there, crafty friends. It's Diane, the Creative Inkster. Happy February. Today is Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. Wowzers, we're already into February, and what a beautifully cold, typical winter day we have out there. So what would we do when we have a cold winter day besides having to go to work? We will make a Valentine's Day project. And so this is the one I'm going to show you how to make tonight. It is a beautifully big box. So it measures 6 1/4 inches tall and then 4 inches around. So 4 inches this way and 4 inches this way. So you can hold a lot of stuff in here. And it's kind of a cute little fold on the top that I wanted to show you. So you can fit a lot in there. So I also have trouble with boxes, like, you know, when you're closing up a box. I'm just trying to make sure I can get this to go in the way that I want. There we go. And then we just pop it back up. There we go. So we're interlocking our hearts along the top and making this beautiful box and decorating, and it's really easy. So if you're looking for a nice cute little project or something else you could do with it, I mean, you know, it doesn't only have to be a box to store stuff. You could make some decorative holders for things out of it and use the top differently. So let's get started. Now I am doing this one so that it's 6 1/4 inches tall. I did make another one which is 7 inches tall. But the reason I'm not showing you that, and why I'm going to show you a way to adapt it to make it a bit smaller, is because I wanted to use 6-inch tall paper over here. I wanted to use either from a 6x6 pack, or so you get the most amount out of a sheet of 12 by 12. So if you go with the larger full piece of cardstock piece with this, then you're going to be making your piece a little bit taller this way. Now if you have lots of pattern paper to get rid of, maybe that's what you want to do. This is the one I'm going to show you though. Righty-o, let's get started. So I posted the supplies list. Oh, and before we get too far along, I just wanted to mention, if you're watching live, to let me know you are, and you know, let me know that you're here watching, and if you're watching the replay, leave me a comment. I love to interact with you. So this is a piece of cardstock. It's Sweet Sorbet. It's 8 1/2 inches wide by 10 1/4 inches tall. So again, this is to make the size so that a 6-inch tall piece of pattern paper will fit on the panels. Okay, with me so far? And I really liked the fact that the person who did this and showed this on a YouTube video showed a great way to do the scoring, so any length of paper is going to work for you, because they use A4 cardstock and we use 8 1/2 by 11, which is, I don't know, it's A something else. Anyhow, alrighty, so you need 2 pieces of matching cardstock to make this box, and they're both 10 1/4 tall by 8 1/2 wide. So get your paper scorer, whatever that tool is for you, and with the 8 1/2 inch side horizontal in your scorer paper trimmer, you're going to score at 4 inches and 8 inches. Pretty straightforward. You're going to do that on both pieces. This is just making the side panels. So these are going to go together effectively to make a 4-panel box. Right, so that's the 8 1/2 inch side. On both of them, we scored at 4 inches and 8 inches. Now you're going to turn them this way, and you're going to score in from 2 inches. So this is with your 10 1/4, or if you used a whole length sheet 11, or if you have an A4, whatever it goes out to, you're going to score this at 2 inches. And then you're going to flip it around 180 degrees and do 2 inches on the other end. So what this effectively does is, it means that it doesn't matter how long your paper is, you're going to do 2 inches on each. It's the segment in the center that's going to be adjusted in height. And that's how we have 6 1/4 inches in the center here, which is what this piece ends up being. So your 6-inch tall piece of pattern paper will fit beautifully. Take the other piece, do exactly the same thing. Score it at 2 inches along the 10 1/4 inch side. Turn it around 80 degrees, so your 10 1/4 is across the top again, and once again score at 2 inches. And that's all the scoring we need to do. So like I said, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Get this scoring simply scored out the way. All right, next up, we need to do some cutting and gluing together. So we're going to actually glue the two pieces. So where you have that thin 1/2 inch side, they do not go together in the center. You need them as flaps on either side. So we are going to first do some cutting off. So I've got my thin 1/2 inch scored edge on the right, and I'm going to cut off the two rectangles, the one at the top and the bottom. On my very first sample, I left them on, but it was too much bulk in the middle. So here is where that little rectangle begins at the 2-inch mark. So I'm going to cut that guy off. We just need the center piece as our tab to join the two pieces together. So I'm cutting that other 2 by 1/2 inch piece off. And so your piece ends up looking like this with your tab. And I'm just going to miter the edges ever so slightly. It really doesn't matter. It's going to be hidden, but it takes a little bit of the bulk out. So by mitering, I mean I'm just going to do a little notch or a little angled cut. I'm going to do the same thing on the other piece. So we're keeping that 1/2 inch scored edge to the right. We're going to cut off. Of course, I guess if you're left-handed, you want to keep it to your left. I'm going to cut off the 1/2 inch by 2 inch little rectangle and the one at the top as well. There we go. I don't know why my lighting is so messed up here. It seems like there's a lot of shadows. Alrighty. And then we're going to miter or angle cut in on the tab piece that's remaining in the middle. So there we go. We have two pieces that look exactly the same. And what we're going to do is join them up here to make one big piece. So I did find it helped to fold that score line ahead of time. It just makes folding it over later a little bit easier. And I'll do the same on the other piece. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm using Sweet Sorbet, whatever matches your pattern paper. So pick your pattern paper. You will need a piece of pattern paper that is 8 by 12 to make this size of box. All right, so we have our tab in the middle. We're going to glue that to the full straight edge over here, right, so that the score lines line up horizontally. So you can use a couple of things. I'm going to use tear and tape. It's what I like to use for boxes. You can use Stampin' Seal or Stampin' Seal Plus, or even liquid glue. This time I'm going to go with my tear and tape. So I'm going to put a strip of this down the 1/2 inch tab, and I'll put one down the other 1/2 inch tab too. So we are set to go while we have this out. All right. So we're going to tear this backing paper off. And you can just use your scissors or a fingernail if you have a fingernail and just pull that right off. See, it's all shiny there. And then we're going to line up the other piece over top of it so that the two edges, the long straight edge and then this top 2-inch piece, line up so the score lines work. Okay, and we're effectively making one of the corners. So let's, while we've got this piece going, we also, oh, I should mention this is kind of important. So our tab here that we had, the 1/2 inch tab, that's going to be in the inside. So it's going to fold this way so we don't see that tab. We're going to fold this one over. I'm going to score that. Okay, and then here's where our seam is. We're going to fold this score line over to the right. So we're basically making the box. I know that seems pretty simplistic, but it's easy to get lost in a video. I do know this from watching other videos. So this is what the inside looks like. We have that little strip in here in the middle. And if we fold, pardon me, with seeing this, the tab in the middle, if you fold the left side in and the right side over, it will match up nicely. So we just need to remove our tape from here, from the tab. Do I need to cut? Oh, we don't want to do that just yet. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to make the tab edges so that we can add the hearts. Almost got carried away there. Alrighty, so we're ready with this open this way. And to create the tab pieces, one end of this 2-inch scored area is going to be the bottom of the box, and the other end is the top where we're going to have these triangular shapes. So you need a ruler and a pencil. And this is pretty easy to do because actually I'm using my grid paper. So I'm going to try to move this up a wee bit so you can see. So if I line it up here, each panel is 4 inches. So I just want to put a little mark at 2. And then in between the next set of 2, so I kind of have to, because it's just off just a hair, put another one. Just want, because, you know, when you go to marry 2 pieces up, you're going to be off just a smidge. That's a measurement, by the way. A smidge is a measurement. And then between 12 and 16 is number 14. So basically I've done a dot in the middle of each of these 4-inch panels. Then I go from the dot to the outside edge where the tab is, draw a line. If you're really good, you can cut it. I gotta draw a line and then cut it. And then we go from that 2-inch mark to the next score line over where the 4-inch is. And we draw another line. Then we'll know where we're cutting off. Oops, I went off a little bit. So we're cutting off these ones here. Okay, do the same thing for the next panel. So we go from the middle point to the score line on the left, from the middle point to the cut edge on the right. This is where we married the 2 pieces up. And we're going to cut this off and this off. Going along, we're going to do the same thing. Go from that point to the edge. That wasn't very straight. Let's try that again. And then from that middle point to the outside edge at the 2-inch score line. I'm going to cut these off. And the last one. Pretty straightforward. You just have to know the pattern and the spots where you need to do your. Now sometimes these measurements, as much as we try to make them perfect, doesn't work out. Sometimes we're a 16th or a 32nd of an inch off. All right, so now we're going to cut off where our pencil marks are to make these little points. And as you saw, I squiggled on my little triangle, so I know where I would be able to cut them off. If I had longer scissors, it probably would go a little bit better because I would be able to make like one straight cut or one full cut at once. But I have my paper snips, so I'm trying to get that as straight as I possibly can. Yep, I could go with my paper trimmer. Not doing it. So let me just double check. I redrew this one. Double check where the 2-inch mark is. It's that one. Okay. And I'm going to go from here. Yeah, you could keep these little pieces too if you wanted to. I probably won't. I'm not much of a scrap keeper. This is the only finicky part of this project, I think, is cutting your little triangles out. And I'm trying to be very diligent and get along the line correctly. There's a little wiggle room once you start putting it together. That one and the last one. There we go. Okay, so then you end up with something that looks like this. That looks like a fence post, right? So that would be the top. This, of course, is the bottom. So we need to cut up on our score lines on the bottom. So there's our middle seam. We have 2 score lines to cut up. So from the base to the horizontal 2-inch score line, we're going to cut up. And I did not miter the edges on this. This bottom box goes together pretty snugly on the bottom part. Doesn't need and it doesn't, not so much so that you need to do any mitering. All right, so let's fold these and burnish them. Just kind of gets us ready for the put it together stage. All right, I'm going to visually give you a visual on how this is going to look. So this is going to fold up like this, and then these are going to fold in, and we're going to make the beautiful heart piece in the center. So let's fold these over the points, and we'll burnish them. Just gets us ready for the next stage. Rather than trying to, once it's put together as a box, and then trying to fold the edges over, that's a little more complicated. Okay, so let's get the front facing up, and I know it's the front because that seam is on the inside. We're going to add our DSP pieces, or our pattern paper. So I cut 4 of them at 3 3/4 by 6 inches, and they should fit quite beautifully within each of the 4 panels. This paper's not directional really, so I'm just going to put it where I want to put it. I'll get my liquid glue out for this. Liquid glue goes such a long way that it's perfect for something like this. Now I have a plan for these boxes. I made a couple of them, and I have them for Valentine's treat boxes, I think, for some special people in my life that will like this. Here we go. Get that in. So remember, you want to center it between your score lines, top and bottom. And if you have something directional, you know, keep that in mind. This is your bottom, the points are the top. And then you want to have a nice bit of ribbon to wrap around, and I believe I used about 26 inches. I'm going to just take it, I put that in the instructions, but I'm going to just take it and wrap it around and earmark where I'm going to cut it to tie it. But I wanted to give you an idea, because it's, you know, 2 feet is a fair bit of ribbon. You don't have to put ribbon around it. You can put whatever you like. Put a belly band or put nothing. I just thought the paper had a little wee bit of balmy blue in it, and we have this balmy blue and white variegated paper. That's perfect. Okay, so there's the outside. We're ready to assemble our box, so flip it over so that this is all your inside. You're going to remove the backing off the tear and tape. Now if you'd used liquid glue, you'd be standing there holding it. Or if you're using tear and tape, I'm sorry, Stampin' Seal or Stampin' Seal Plus, you just have an open edge. Okay, so you're going to fold this in. So there's our sticky part. I'm going to fold the right in, and that should just match up beautifully to make the other seam. So there we go. That's our box shape. Now we're ready to put the bottom in. So you can do whatever you like. Put 2 in, have them go like this, you know, whatever you want to do. I just did 2 in and 2 over. Okay, and then this way, I just needed to put some glue on the last ones to fold in. I'm just going to fold my box so it's steady there. And then I'm going to use my liquid glue to glue this down. So the 2 outside or last flaps that are going to be going down to seal it up. And they're all the same size, so they're all going to kind of meet in the middle. I'm going to press it down gently, flip it over, and then push it down with my bone folder or my hand. I could stick my hand in there. Okay, so there is my box. Cool. All right, now we want to do the beautiful piece that goes in the top here. So I'm using 2 of the Stampin' Up punches, the heart punches. And you could fiddle around and figure out another way to do this if you like. You could use other shapes, but to do the interlocking, this seemed to fit perfectly. So this is a set of heart punches. I believe they're $52 in Canada. One is a flat circle, a flat surface one, and the other one punches out a scallop. So I've already done my punching to make life easier. You need 4 scallops, plus one for the front, because see we have one on the front here. So we need 4 scallops, 3, 4, maybe I didn't do a 5th one yet. And then you need 4 of the patterned ones. So this one has a different pattern on the back, so I'm going to use these heart ones. And I'm just going to glue them together. This part's not important. If you just use the 4 scallop ones, that'll fit. But I had the other ones because they nest so nicely together. I thought I would use them this way. Could have punched out of the same matching pattern paper. This is just another print in the same pack. And we'll glue these guys up, add them together. They'll look so nice. There we go. Okay. 3, 4. Alrighty, there we go. Alright. Okay, so now we're ready to add them here. And how these line up is, we'll just do one at a time. You're going to put them down. Let me just show you the finished one. It's a little easier to see what the finished look on the back looks like. So it's as if the center of the heart where it dips down fits into the point, and it gets it almost to the edge there. So I'm shooting to get where the heart goes down in the center here into that point on that we've created. So we want to put some glue there. So you want to be careful. You don't want to put glue on the outside edges here, because that's going to show. So it's a little bit of a tricky, can I get it to land perfectly? So once you get it in, liquid glue is a great one for this because it's repositionable. So you can go like, oh yeah, I got it in place. You can see that it's even on that side. So we'll do that all the way around. Add a little bit of glue to this, mostly in the center line, and pop this guy in. These hold a lot. Like, it is totally surprising how much you can fit in this box. Like 2 pieces of cardstock. Not too bad at all. With your liquid glue, it takes a few seconds for it to totally cure and be straight there. Paper to paper, it will dry fully dry within about 3 to 5 minutes. But if you're in a rush and you want to use something else, I just like the ability to reposition it. I'm not always good at getting it to land straight and perfect the very first time. Okay, there we go. So there is our hearts for our closure. I'm going to set it aside, allow it to dry while I work on the rest. So I didn't punch that out. I've got some petal pink right here somewhere in my scrap bin. Oh, okay. Well, we have one piece of scrap that has some embossing on it. So won't that look pretty? Because we're just going to add it. That's just a great way to use up a scrap. So I've punched out with the scallop edged punch. And then on some scrap white in balmy blue to match the ribbon, I'm going to stamp Happy Valentine's Day. And I'm going to cut them out. I know, cut out by hand. No dies, no punches. Let's make it happen. All right, we're going to clean that up in a minute. We'll take our scissors and cut out the 3 words, leaving a little bit of a border. I mean, Not perfect, and that's okay. You can just trim them off as you go. I just thought it would be fun to layer them onto the heart this way. There we go. So we're just going to cut out the Valentine's part. The words are a little bit close together, but it's doable. And so even where the word has a pretty straight edge, as if a line was drawn and they were writing right on a piece of lined paper, I still make it go a little squiggly sometimes so that it kind of goes with nicely with what's happening at the top of the words as I'm squiggling along here. There we go, and around, and up through here. And then I'm going to grab my dimensionals to add to the back of the greetings. I don't have any minis right handy, I don't think, so I'm going to snip off some from the edge. And make that look nice. We're nearly done. So there's our happy on the heart, Valentine's, and then day. And I'd add some embellishments on the final too. I have some pretty blue ones that would look really, really nice, certainly up in the corner here. And then this, I'm going to add some more dimensionals and pop it on the front. And then we're just about ready for closure and our ribbon. And we are done this great project. So do you see yourself using this? Do you see yourself making a nice box? I really feel like there's lots of opportunities for using this box and doing it in different motifs for different reasons. So to put it together so they kind of close together, I put the front one down, the left one over it, I'm sorry, the right one over it, the back one over that, and then this one I want the right to go underneath, and where all of the top centers of the hearts are, they'll meet. There we go. And I think every time I do this, I'm getting it a little bit better. Isn't that pretty? What a swirl. What a gorgeous look. And then we're ready for our ribbon. So I think I said 26 inches, so we'll see how that goes. Let's kind of guesstimate. I typically just work off the roll, and we're going to do a bow. I've done bows for such a long time that I think I'm getting pretty good at guesstimating how far it needs to be, how long it needs to be. And if you're tying a bow and you want it to land horizontal, you want to tie your bow vertically. So I've done my knot and I'm making my bow vertically. And then for some unknown reason, when I pull it left and right, it lands nicely. I don't know how that works. It just does. So probably this one was a little bit shorter than 26 inches. There we go. And then you can jimmy it up any way you like. You can put glue dots behind it to hold it in place if the flowy look doesn't work for you. And there you go. That's our project. So I hope you like that. Hope you enjoyed watching me make that, and we'll give this project a try. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.